What's good, guys? So I'm back once again in conjunction with GamingFans.com with another Zeta priority guide. This time we're going to be focusing on First Order, and we're going to follow up with Resistance in the next video. This should help people that are only just developing these teams with the upcoming Galactic Legends events. I'll be breaking down the optimal order, as well as telling you what these Zetas are going to bring to your team. So let's get on with this video, guys. Let's do this! Jumping straight in on those high Zetas, we're looking at three of them in fact, both of Unmasked Kylo's, Merciless Pursuit, and Scud, as well as Sith Troopers, Emperor's Legacy. Now the order is going to depend on exactly who you're using as the primary leader. If you're going to use Hux as the main leader, the one that you're most often using in Grand Arena or wherever, then you can skip Crew's lead initially and go straight to his unique Scud. Scud adds a pre-taunt as well as doubling his counter chance to 100% while he's taunting. Those counters are coming really handy because his basic applies tenacity down, and when it's his actual turn, whenever he does a basic to an enemy that's debuffed, he'll taunt once again. The pre-taunt is absolutely essential because characters like Hux or First Order Officer are incredibly squishy. This will protect your team from pretty much any team that cannot bypass taunt. Kylo Unmasked is a very tanky character, particularly if you've got him modded well, and as a result he's going to be able to keep the team alive, buying you more time to do mass damage with the likes of Hux. As for Kylo's leadership, Merciless Pursuit, you're going to gain more damage, more speed, more turn meter, as well as health and protection recovery whenever First Order gain a status effect. In many cases, Kylo is still the go-to lead option, so it's a Zeta you're going to do eventually, if not right away. I would probably just do it first, because that way you've at least got two viable leadership options for various situations. And lastly, in the high category, we have Sith Troopers, Emperor's Legacy Unique. This resets the cooldown of the AoE special Vengeant Blast, as well as granting advantage so we get a guaranteed crit when we use the special. Also, we'll get a bonus turn to use it immediately whenever a First Order or Sith ally dies. I can't stress what a big deal this is, especially if you're running him under a First Order or Sith leader, as you should be, as he'll gain an additional 50% crit damage, on top of an additional 50% damage for each dead First Order or Sith ally, and this can quite literally turn a loss into a win at the last second. This is useful against the AI in particular because it regularly fails to control the tanks and rarely kills Trooper first. As a result, you can simply mop up their team with huge AoE damage. And now onto some mid-tier Zetas, and there are some actual really good Zetas here. They're not the ones that you're going to absolutely need from the very beginning, however they will make your battles considerably easier. In this category, we have First Order Stormtroopers Return Fire, we have Kylo Ren's Outrage, and we have General Hux's Boundless Ambition. Return Fire used to be a high priority one before the likes of Hux and Sith Trooper came into the game. It was often one that you did along with Kylo right away if you wanted to have any success with your team. The reason for this is you get a 50% chance for an ally to assist anytime First Order Stormtrooper takes his turn. He'll also grant advantage for 2 turns, which, as you know from the mechanics of First Order, is absolutely crucial. It's still a very useful Zeta whether you're running him under Kylo, Phasma or Hux. There's big damage on the table for you if you're combining the likes of First Order Stormtrooper with either the Sith Trooper or Executioner. As for Kylo Ren's Outrage, this is going to grant you more damage for the move as well as recovering protection equal to the damage dealt. This is particularly useful if Kylo is below full health because you'll be granted an additional 75% damage. Now you factor this in with advantage being spread by other allies, you're guaranteed a crit that will do huge numbers and can often save Kylo from death, as well as insta-killing one of the enemy characters. Lastly, Boundless Ambition for General Hux. His unique is actually a very good Zeta if you can keep him alive. This Zeta will allow you to control the enemy team by preventing them gaining bonus turn meter whenever Hux has advantage, and to top it off, he'll start the battle with advantage for 2 turns. Where this really shines is when Hux is actually your leader, as with that he gains dominance, which prevents enemy counterattacks until he's hit by a critical hit. To get the best use out of these 2 aspects from his kit, I would highly recommend you mod him for some crit avoidance, or perhaps even boost his defense to get his armor up, because he naturally has a very low armor level. This makes him very easy to kill early on, particularly if your tanks aren't very effective. This is one case where Kylo Unmasked Scarred Zeta is going to come in really useful having that pre-taunt. And now for the low tier Zetas. The reason these ones are in this category is because you don't really use these characters, if at all, in most of the comps these days. Captain Phasma's here, First Order TIE Pilot's here, and they're not characters that are optimal for any of the best First Order teams now. The Zetas we're looking at are First Order TIE Pilot's Keen Eye, as well as Captain Phasma's Fire at Will. Keen Eye in itself isn't a terrible Zeta. It boosts TIE Pilot's crit chance and crit damage, which are crucial. That's all he's really built around, as well as giving him foresight for 2 turns whenever he loses advantage. Also very handy because he's a glass cannon. The problem is, he's not really used in any of the comps, as I said earlier on. Therefore, it's not a particularly great investment unless you don't really have Executioner or Sith Trooper to actually use in his place. At one point, many people developed this character because his ship was involved in the meta. However, the target lock meta has long since gone. The First Order fleet aren't really in any use at the moment. I'm sure they will be eventually. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a capital ship come through for them, and therefore more ships, and this pilot will actually come back into prominence, but at the moment it's just not really in use. As a result, I don't really recommend this Zeta right now. Captain Phasma's Fire at Will is quite wordy and says a lot, but kind of doesn't mean anything. It triples the assist chance for First Order allies to 60% whenever an ally attacks. It also grants advantage to First Order allies for 2 turns right at the start of the battle, who in turn gain 20% potency and can't be critically hit while they have advantage. While this sounds pretty good, there are a lot of characters in the game with very high offense that can quite easily eat up this team without the healing mechanic of Kylo, because they don't need to actually crit to do big numbers. As a result, this Zeta is lowly ranked because it's just not as viable as using Kylo Unmasked or Hux as lead, as most people do in most half-decent First Order teams. So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching, and I hope this helps you out, particularly those of you that aren't quite prepared for the Galactic Legends events and are only just developing this team. That's me included. Be sure to like and subscribe, and you can read the written guide of this on gamingfans.com, also written by myself. And until next time, we out of here.